Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to this video. This video is a full review of LG's new flagship phone, the LG G4. The LG G4 of course builds upon everything they had with the LG G3, which was a very good smartphone. But this year it's got some tough competition. So is this a phone you should be buying, or is this a phone you should just not be buying? So let's take a proper look at the body and the design of the new G4. It hasn't changed too much since the G3. The G3 already had a pretty cool design, and actually the bottom bit has grown a little bit, the bezel down the bottom has grown a little bit, but the main notable change really is the fact that the screen itself has a curve, and it's not exactly as big as it is with the LG G Flex 2. It's more like a meniscus if you think water in a glass. It's not that much of a big deal, but it does make quite a big difference. Occasionally when you start watching media and things like YouTube videos on it, it maybe feels slightly odd, but you soon get used to it. And the main advantage really is that it fits really nicely in the hand, and even when you put it in your pocket it sort of curves along with your body, and actually it's very, very nice to hold. And this isn't just because of the curve. The whole design is one of the most comfortable smartphone designs I've ever used. I'm used to using a Samsung Galaxy Note 4, and the main difference really between the design of this and the design of the Note 4 is that the Note 4 has buttons down the bottom and a fingerprint sensor, which the LG G4 does not have. Instead of that though, it means that you kind of get more screen when you need it and less when you don't, so you use on-screen buttons. Now the trade-off is definitely something that I actually quite like, because although I quite like having the buttons, the phone itself is a lot less cumbersome than the Samsung Galaxy Note 4, and overall the usability is definitely more user-friendly. Looking at the phone itself though, we have the usual design where we have the micro USB down the bottom. The headphone jack is also on the bottom, it's not actually on the top of the phone. Move around to the top, I'm assuming that's an IR blaster, because it has IR blaster, so it makes sense that it was there. And then round the side you'll see that there are actually no buttons on the side of the phone at all. That's because LG are sticking with their usual design of having the buttons on the back. So we've got a volume up and down, a power button, and then we've got a camera, laser focus, a flash, and then the speaker down the bottom right hand side of the device. The speaker actually is quite impressive, bearing in mind its size, but it's still not really a very good place to put a speaker, because of course if you hold the phone like that, you're going to be covering up the speaker. But overall, the design is very, very nice. Now, the main thing that's got people talking about the G4, other than its camera, which we will talk about in a moment, is the new leather back. Now, you don't have to have a leather back. This one, as you probably guessed, is not leather. So this one is more like a polycarbonate design. Now the advantage to this design is that it's really grippy, and I mean literally really grippy. Like it almost sticks to your hand without you even having to grip it at all. I can almost do it actually. Yep, so you can get pretty close. The point is you're not really going to drop the thing, which is brilliant. But the main downside is that personally I don't think it looks very good. I say that it looks okay, but it doesn't look premium, and that's the main sort of thing I get about the whole overall design of the device. It's a very expensive device, and yes, it is a little bit cheaper than its Samsung and HTC and of course Apple rivals, but it doesn't look as premium. It looks good, but it doesn't look as premium. So if you're going to get the LG G4, unless you really don't like it, I would definitely recommend going for the leatherback. And you can get the leatherback in a choice of colours, and this looks a lot more premium and will help you stand out from the crowd. The other thing that, while it's okay, is the size of the phone, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with it other than the fact that the rivals have nice metal sides and feel a lot more premium. So if I was going to change the G4's design in any way, I think the main thing to do would be keep the leather back, that's absolutely fine, but then have some nice metal edges to the device like we've seen on the Galaxy Note 4, and it just means that the Galaxy Note 4 looks a lot more premium and feels a lot more premium than this device. But I'd definitely say the LG G4 is one of the best phones I've used when it comes to handling. But of course the main thing about a phone is the screen and the thing you're going to be using. Now it's the same resolution, it's still 1440p Quad HD, which is more than you would ever need on a smartphone of 5.5 inches, but the actual screen itself has changed slightly, and it's definitely one of, if not the best displays I've used on a smartphone. It is of course an IPS panel like we see on pretty much all smartphones of any decent caliber this day and age. But the thing about it that I really like is that the colours are really deep, yet they still feel quite accurate. Now, I've been so used to using a Samsung phone for such a long time that I am kind of used to sort of oversaturated colours. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, you might like that, but this is definitely a more natural looking screen, and it really does make everything pop without going too sort of extortionate, and it really does look very, very good, and it's a pleasure to look at. It doesn't seem to tire your eyes out. The automatic brightness setting seems to be pretty much spot on. This is something that I've noticed with some other phones. Sometimes the automatic brightness is a little bit too dim or a bit too bright. Never really had an issue with this at all. But if you want to, you can turn automatic brightness off, and then you can literally just make it go extortionately bright. But of course in a room like this you're not really going to notice that. But overall the screen itself is a pleasure to use, and of course you can watch YouTube videos in Quad HD if that is your scene. Using the phone itself is also a very nice experience. It's all powered by a Snapdragon 808, so it's not the most powerful processor you can get, but I haven't really ever experienced any hang-ups, and if I have, it's definitely down to the software because it's happened on many other devices that I've used. If you do want to use the stock home screen, I have to say it's very fluid and very responsive, but I just don't really like anything other than the Google Now launcher, plainly because I like having all my information on the left and I'm used to that. But if you do want to use the stock home screen, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You get Smart Notice, which will tell you things like whether you need to take a coat or an umbrella when you walk outside. So it goes for kind of a slightly more minimalistic sort of home screen, and I think that works in its favour, but I still recommend giving the Google Now launcher a go, no matter what your device is. Now of course it's not just the home screen that LG have changed. They change a whole host of settings within the phone itself, and this is something that will happen no matter what ecosystem you use. So whether it's a Samsung, HTC, they all customize the settings. Now we'll start with the thing that is missing and the thing that I really want them to update, and I know a lot of other people are feeling the same way as well. It's only going to affect you if you are an Android Wear user or you just want to customize the notification volume, because you can't customize the notification volume without also customizing the ringtone volume. Now the problem with this is if you want your notifications to be silent but you still want to hear phone calls, you can't do that. They're not separated, whereas on something like a Samsung phone at the moment, you can do that. So the main problem I have is I have to have a choice between having the phone completely on silent, and then if I've ever lost my phone, I won't be able to ring it, or having sound on max, but then getting notification noises all the time when I don't want them, because of course I can get them on my watch. So it's not really going to affect most people, and it's a minor issue, but it's something I would like to see updated. However, one of the things that I really like about the LG G4 is their new smart settings, and I'm not sure how new they are actually, maybe they've just been updated, but essentially you can do things like, I'm at home at the moment, and instead of having to input my password, I literally just have to swipe up because it's connected to my home Wi-Fi, and then it knows that I am at home, so it knows that no one's going to nick my phone and be able to use it and things like that, unless they've broken in or something like that. But there are smart settings for a whole host of features. So another one that I use is whenever I plug headphones in, I will automatically open my music server app, so I can start playing music through my music server. And it doesn't have to be your music server app, it can be whatever you want it to do. So you can customize the phone, so there's a whole host of settings. That will change when you intelligently do something like connect a Bluetooth device or something like that. I would like to see a car mode. I think that's something Samsung have pretty much nailed, and it's something that, again, is not going to affect most people, but it would be nice to have. Overall, a very nice user experience on the LG G4. But one of the most important things about the phone is its new camera, and this is probably one of the best cameras you can find in smartphones. Smartphones have come across a very long way in a very small amount of time, and people just are pretty much just not taking compact cameras anymore unless you're using a mirrorless or DSLR camera, because smartphones are really good and pretty much provide most people all the photos they will need. If you're out and about and you want to take a photo really quickly, from off, it's literally just a case of double tapping the buttons and then the camera will open and will automatically take a photo. I've noticed here actually that that was a massive fail because the camera itself is taking a horrendously overblown photo, but to be fair, I am trying to take a photo of a black camera against a white background. But the point is, actually normally it works pretty well. The camera itself though uses an aperture of 1.8, so f1.8, and that basically means you get really good low light performance, so you can take photos in conditions that wouldn't otherwise be possible. The downside to this is the fact that images can have they do have a smaller depth of field, so things are more blurry, but this is also a good thing if you're taking portraits and things like that. You get a really nice amount of background blur. The whole camera experience though is very, very good. You can use an automatic setting, you can use a slightly more advanced automatic setting, so you can change a few different features, or you can go full manual and then take things like long exposure photographs and just basically change any setting other than the fixed 1.8 aperture. So if you are a budding photographer, it's great because you can take some photos that are really stylized that you wouldn't otherwise be able to do. So that's the camera. It's very good and the picture quality is very good. We also got Ultra HD 4K video, which again is very, very good. The only real problem I've noticed is that the photos seem a little bit over processed. Again, this is something that hopefully can be updated in the future. But if you zoom in, then you'll see that there's pixels almost slightly become blurry. In the same sense that if you use, like you may have used a front-facing camera where it has like a selfie mode, which will kind of make you a little bit more beautiful by basically blurring the skin. It basically, you just find a lot of photos can be slightly over-processed. But generally speaking, no problems. It's a really, really good camera. And the other thing that I like, which some people have complained about, is the fact that the front-facing camera is not a wide-angle camera, so you get less in the photo. But I really like this, and it's something that really annoys me about my Samsung Galaxy Note 4. I don't want an ultra-wide angle because I'm always taking selfies or doing Snapchat selfies, and it means that if your face is not in exactly the center of the shot, it means that you basically are deformed where you're getting too much in and it's stretching your face. So I would say to all smartphone manufacturers, don't put that on your phone. Have a nice front-facing camera like this one. This one is very, very good and I haven't experienced any problems. And with that, that brings us to the conclusion. This is a smartphone that is incredibly well built. It fits really nicely in the hand, and it has all the benefits of a removable back, so a removable battery and a micro SD card slot. And the only real thing you lose is like a large metallic design, which I still think that is what they should be doing. I think they should have it so that it's got metal edges, but don't have it as like a unibody where you can't replace the battery and things like that, because you're essentially just ruining the life of your smartphone. If you have an old phone and you want to jazz it up a little bit, you can just stick a new battery in it, or you can add new storage. Yes, you can't change things like processors and things like this, but this phone is going to last you a very long time. It's got a fantastic camera, it's got an amazing autofocus system with the laser autofocus, and it's definitely one of, probably is the quickest camera autofocus I've ever used. And just the whole user experience is very, very good. The only thing that I want to change is just the edges. I want to be metal, and I almost want the leather back to come as standard, but it more or less does. This was just the reviewer's copy, the reviewer's sample that I got my hands on. So should you buy this phone? Pretty much absolutely. It's available at a better price than the Samsung Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge. It's also probably, I haven't actually checked this one, but it's normally cheaper than the HTC One M9 as well. And of course, it's always going to be cheaper than an iPhone. If you're wondering whether you should get this, then I would say you should be getting it with the leather back. And obviously, just make sure you're getting a good deal from a good contract or a good price from wherever you're buying it outright. This phone is one of the best I've ever used, and it easily wins my top purchase award. No one really out there is going to be disappointed with this phone. Unless you really want a unibody design, this is probably the way to go. From what we've seen so far, something could come along, smash it, but I haven't seen any evidence of that as of yet. So thank you so much for checking out this video of the LG G4. Thank you so much to LG, Max, you know who you are, for getting a copy of this out to me. It's very kind. And like I say, thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like this video if you thought it was good, dislike it if you didn't like it for whatever reason, and leave a comment to let me know what you liked or disliked about it, or if you just have any general comments about the phone. If you have any questions about the phone, PC Centric on Twitter is the best place to go. And other than that, don't forget to subscribe for more smartphone reviews as well as others on PCs, gaming and technology. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.